believe. These killings had been committed by private citizens and members of drug cartels, some of whom used the war as a cover to silence possible informants. The constancy and sheer velocity required its own nomenclature. They were drug-related deaths, they were illegal killings, they were targeted assassinations, salvagings, body dumps, drive-by shootings. They were casualties in the Duterte administration's war on crime, or, as the news network ABS-CBN would put it, those who perished. Even Philippine officials seemed unable to agree on the terminology. One senator called them summary killings. The Interior Secretary called them alleged vigilante-style killings of drug personalities. There is language for this phenomenon. The term is extrajudicial killings. It was the single phrase that became commonplace on the street and on television, so common that a Senate resolution called for sessions investigating the recent rampant extrajudicial killings and summary executions of criminals. The repetition forced a shorthand, EJK. The press used it as a qualifier. The victims' families used it as a verb. The critics used it as an accusation. From the beginning of the Duterte era, recording these deaths became my job. As a field correspondent for Rappler in Manila, I was one of the reporters covering the results of the president's pledge to destroy anyone, without charge or trial, whom he or the police or any number of vigilantes suspected of taking or selling drugs. The volume of Duterte's dead was at times overwhelming, as was covering the powerful in a country where the powerful refused to be held to account. I ran away halfway through the war. At the time, I was investigating a series of killings in the capital. It was slow work. I hunted down witnesses. I culled official reports. I met men who detailed the precise manner in which they killed their own neighbors on orders from above, then sent interview requests to the police officers they accused. Rappler decided my presence in Manila was a security risk. I agreed. It was safer to assume that the self-interest preventing vigilantes from shooting me on sight was unlikely to hold. My editor delayed publication until my plane lifted off the tarmac. All this was why I found myself crossing the Pacific in early October 2018. If the good people of the Logan Nonfiction Fellowship believed I could produce literature, I was happy to pretend I could. The residency was 3 months long at a wooded estate in upstate New York. It should have come as a relief. But years of covering a state-sanctioned massacre does odd things to the mind. I had learned to qualify every statement and to burn transcripts on my balcony. I had lain awake nights convinced that a misplaced comma could be grounds for criminal libel. For someone with my sort of obsessive imagination, the practical caution required of a drug war reporter morphed into an almost paralyzing paranoia. Nothing was certain. Everyone was lying. The man with a selfie stick was a spy for the cops, or a killer, or a fanatical supporter of the president likely to upload my photo of meeting a source onto Twitter. The fact that I was occasionally correct fueled the lunacy. Many things were suspect. White vans, flashing lights, spam emails, men on motorcycles, automated credit card transactions, the waiter at the coffee shop, the hotel clerk asking for my billing address, a ringing phone, a dropped call, the doorbell. I read and reread my own stories, hunting for gaps, agonizing over sentence construction, convinced I had missed the error that would get a witness killed. By the time I stood at JFK Airport, blank disembarkation form in hand, I couldn't trust my memory to write out my own name. I verified the spelling against my passport. I remember distinctly the compulsion to find a second source, and found it in my birth certificate. The Albany countryside was a pretty place, even if a pack of cigarettes did cost $13 a pop. It was cold, people were warm, there was chocolate mousse for dessert, sometimes berries. I spent most of the first weeks trying to disappear into a fog of Star Trek and Agatha Christie, but the residency required I make an honest attempt at producing a book proposal.